About a third of our animals are either adopted out, returned to their owner, or go to rescue. And the other 2/3 are usually euthanized. That's about average for our shelter.
I think that's pretty much the number in the States.
That's pretty much nationwide even.
It's too high, isn't it? That's why we want to
2/3.
bring it down with our spay and neuter bill. You
Right.
know, if we can just prevent the births, people say, but we're going to run out of animals. What did you say?
No, we won't.
Why do you say that?
Well, because if we ever get to that point, then we'll take measures to change it. But until we get to that point, and we won't see it in my lifetime, then we have an overpopulation issue. This is our spay-neuter mobile. This is where I do surgery 4 days a week, and I do about 40 to 50 surgeries a week for animals that are adopted from the shelter. So dogs and cats, rabbits, that's about all.
And would you say that's capacity for the surgeries, or could you do more?
Well, for just me, that's about capacity. Now, right now I do have another vet that's helping me, so we could probably do 15 or so. But we adopt out about 50 animals a week, so right now that's pretty good.
And what do you think about the bill? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of the bill and I support it because we do have to do something to decrease the number of animals that we euthanize in our shelter. So many of them come in and we just don't have enough homes to place them. We have cats that have been here for a month that still aren't getting adopted.
And can you tell me again what your view is on the possibility of there being too many pets out there as a result of spay and neuter?
Well, I don't think we'll ever see that in the next 25 to 50 years. I mean, that would be nice if eventually we would get to that point where we wouldn't have enough animals, but we've had too many animals for years and years, and I won't see it in my lifetime that we don't have enough.
One of the things the opposition has been pushing out to the public is that spay and neuter is very dangerous for the animals. They can die all the time from it under anesthesia, and that one of the ways that they're trying to discourage people from supporting our bill is to make them believe that spay and neuter is bad. Obviously, that's not the case, but what would you say to the public that may fall for that?
Well, with the advances of veterinary medicine, it's very, very safe these days to do spay-neuters. You know, there's a risk to any kind of surgery for humans as well as animals, but for as many surgeries as I've done, I haven't lost any animals for like 3 years.
How many surgeries have you done?
Oh, I don't know. What's 50 times 3 years? I don't know. I've done a lot.
And you do 50 a week?
About 50 a week.
So 50
yeah.
a week times maybe 50 weeks times
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
It's like almost 10,000.
Oh, so yeah, several thousand at least animals. And I mean, you're going to do a percentage that you're going to lose, but just like in human medicine. But it's a very, very low percentage because it's very safe.
And we're losing 500,000 at least in our shelters to overpopulation. So I think that that's probably, yeah.
No comparison at all. So did you want to see the purebred animals that I spayed and neutered today?
Yes, we'd love to. Thank you.
This is a little Pomeranian that was adopted, and she was altered today. Here we have a pug. He was neutered today. He's adopted from here.
Do you know how these purebred animals got here? Do you think it was from the breeders, or they were loose on the street?
These were all strays. They were loose on the street and they came in as strays. This little dog even had a microchip and we couldn't contact her owner. So if we can't contact the owner, then she goes up for adoption. This is a Welsh Terrier. That's not as common a dog, but it's a purebred. We have a lab here. And this is a mixed breed. This is a Rottweiler mix. But no pit bulls today. I mean, we do adopt out quite a few pit bulls, but we don't have any today. So.
Well, how long does it take? What is the procedure? The animal comes in.
For the shelter?
To make it easy for people to understand, like how simple spay and neuter is.
Oh, well, they come in the morning and my technician gives them a pre-medication. And then we induce them to put them under general anesthetic. And I mean, I can do a spay in 15 minutes, but then I've been doing this for 4 years. I mean, it is an abdominal surgery, and you do have to be skilled at it, but it's a skill that vets learn in vet school.
It's really relatively simple. Overall, very simple.
Right, right. I mean, it's one of the ones that we do routinely, so yeah, it can be simple.
So I'd say like it seems like more than half of these were purebred.
Right, right.
Just by
1, 2, 3, 4 of them. 4 out of the 9 we did today are purebred animals.
Oh, I wanted to thank you. I think you neutered my kittens.
Did I neuter one that you adopted?
Well, no, two. Just a couple. Me and my fiance, we adopted two kittens from here.
Oh, well, good.
And I think I recognize. Yeah, oh, they're doing great. They're so. And you know what? And the second that we got them home, I mean, there was.
And running
Oh yeah,
like
there
they
was
never
nothing.
had surgery. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they were meowing and jumping around like
Yeah.
you couldn't even tell that they had been down. So.
Our
Yeah.
bill said to spay and neuter at 4 months.
I know. I heard you say you have to descend.
Yeah, and we had such a fight over it, and CVMA, who was a sponsor at the time, but went neutral because they had, so much of their membership.
See, a lot of that is because the age of the veterinarians are older, and they haven't learned to do pediatric spay-neuter, so they're, unfortunately, I think, a little bit more afraid of it. And, I started there and I moved down. I was lucky that at my college we had a shelter program where I went for 4 weeks and neutered and spayed shelter animals, and we were doing the puppies and the kittens.
So what to you is the perfect age or age range for a dog and a cat?
Well, I'll do anything that's over 1.5 pounds. So, like you were saying, they don't even act like they've had surgery. I mean, you have to be a little bit more careful. The tissue's a little bit more delicate, and maybe these male vets that have the big hands might have a little bit of trouble. But as long as you keep them warm and they don't get a low blood sugar, they usually do fine.
That's what I've seen. All my rescue kitties that I had done at 4 months were up, playing rough and tumble, just like he said.
Till the 6 months, you're going to have a certain number of animals that are going to go into heat in that 4 to 6 months old. So you're going to have some pregnancies in there.
That's why we kept fighting for it, but we lost it. Are you a member of CVMA?
I'm not.
We don't blame you.
Sorry. I'm very active in the shelter medicine program, though, over at UC Davis, and I belong to the local chapter, and I belong to AVMA. So I just don't belong to CVMA.
So a lot of the veterinarians in CVMA are mostly private practice, right?
See,
right.
they didn't even, until the Hayden bill came out, the veterinary board didn't even do anything with shelters. And it wasn't until the Hayden bill came out that they were like, oh, well, they're practicing veterinary medicine at shelters. Maybe we ought to sort of look into this.
It's almost like two separate worlds.
Right.
The world of, animals who have homes and, and owners that are taking care of them, and then all these shelter animals are just kind of stuck.
And actually, I've been working with UC Davis, and we've been sitting down with the veterinary board to try to get some parameters that makes it legal for us to practice here at shelters. Because technically, like if there's not a veterinarian on site, they can't vaccinate animals on intake, and that's very important to decrease infection in the shelter.
Right.
If you don't vaccinate animals on intake, then you have a high risk of distemper and parvo and panleukopenia. And if you don't have a vet on site, you can't do that. And most shelters do not have a vet that works at the shelter.
Oh, I see. So if for instance, if there was no veterinarian here over a week because you were gone out sick, then another number of animals could come in and
Right. Even before I was here, there was no vet, and I've only been here 4 years. And I'm the first vet that's ever been at this shelter. So we're working with them, and it was interesting because the gentleman from CVMA said, well, we just assumed every animal went to see a vet. Well, when you have 100 come in on the day, how do you send 100 animals to the vet? You don't. So, and he was very insistent that every animal needs to have a physical exam, but this is a shelter, it's not private practice.
Yeah.
It's different.
One last question, which is, most of the animals that come into the shelter, are they spayed or neutered?
No, no.
What percentage are unaltered, would you say?
Can you start
95%, probably
with-
not.
Just so I can catch up,
Okay.
can you start with most of the animals?
Right. Most of the animals that come to the shelter are not altered. About 95 of them are still intact. We have maybe 5% that are already spayed and neutered.